My next patron question is from Joey, who wants to know about a way certain people talk about their favorite television series. There are a few too many times on Twitter where I've seen people bring up how they hated this particular episode of a TV show they loved. Now, I'm not saying they should not dislike these episodes, but my problem is these people randomly keep bringing them up every chance they get when they could be doing other things like talking about their favorite episodes of said show they love. I know you can criticize something you love, but you can get tired of doing so. Even if there are episodes of my favorite TV shows that I dislike or hate, I'd rather talk about how much I love these shows. What are your thoughts on what I'm saying? For me personally, when I talk about a television series I really like, I'm more prone to talk about the episodes that stood out to me as my favorites. But yes, there can be those who prefer to focus on the episodes where they were let down, even if they love most of the rest. Now, that's not to say you cannot bring up episodes that disappointed you or you felt not quite reached the caliber that the rest of the series is known for. You even have cases where people might not be fond of the early episodes, but then at some point the series finds its groove. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is an example of that sort of series for me, where I found the first season kind of uneven. I mentioned before in a video a few years ago that I somewhat struggled with that season with its Monster of the Week storylines. However, I was so impressed with the 12th episode, which also happened to be the season finale, that I decided to continue on and fell in love with the show. When I think about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I'm more prone to remembering the best episodes, like Once More with Feeling, Hush, and The Body, than I am the episodes that underwhelm me. I could probably tell you what I think might be the worst episode of the show, but I won't. Then there are other types of episodes I'm not fond of. For instance, I tend not to care for backdoor pilots. It's unusual to be watching a series following characters you're interested in, and then all of a sudden, almost an entire episode is devoted to some other character, occasionally dropping them in a separate location, and then introducing you to other people. These new characters are made to seem important, but it's highly probable you will never see them again. Star Trek, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and That's So Raven shows I remember doing backdoor pilots, but honestly they're so inconsequential, those don't tend to be the episodes I think of when I remember those series. Clip show episodes can also be annoying, especially if you're binge watching the series. Although The Simpsons clip show episodes tend to be acclaimed for some of the unique comedy bits, like Homer and Bart's reaction to the movie Paint Your Wagon. Speaking of The Simpsons, just as much as people love to talk about their favorite episodes, it's also common for fans to say they dislike the show from the 10th season onwards, with maybe only the occasional appreciation for things like The Simpsons movie or a Treehouse of Horror segment or two. How I Met Your Mother fans also never shut up about how much they hate the last few episodes, and Game of Thrones fans don't seem to stop talking about their dislike for the 8th season. I almost wonder if there are fans of these series even afraid of complimenting those things for fear of being crucified and cast out of the fandom. There even exists a term for when the fanbase decides a show has lost what made it special, named Jump the Shark. The term comes from an episode of Happy Days, where Fonzie water skis over sharks, which was seen as absurd and a little too wacky for that series. For The Simpsons, the Jump the Shark moment is generally considered to be the episode The Principal and the Pauper, where it's revealed Principal Skinner was not actually who he said he was. Fans were not enthusiastic about the episode, although the people who have been the most vocal about their dislike for it are Matt Groening and Harry Shearer. But I'm sure there are people who like that episode. I remember when I did a video about Arthur a few years ago, there were people shocked I did not criticize the episode Arthur's Big Hit. I thought the episode had a clear message about how you should never hit someone, but there are people who apparently feel Arthur was not that wrong to hit DW, and it's generally disliked among the fandom. I don't share the same animosity, but I guess there's a reason that shot of Arthur's fist gets memed a lot. I'm talking about television show episodes here, but there are certain fans of movie franchises who won't stop talking about the entries they dislike, and I think a lot of us just thought of the same fanbase. Even though the 8th and 9th episodes of the Space Wizard saga were released years ago, some people made it their personality to constantly talk about how much they hate them over primarily talk about which movies in the series they do like, and that's just not healthy. It's okay to express your dislike of something, even an episode or movie in a series you like. But when you do it over and over again and feel the need to keep reminding people, the rest of us feel like shouting the statement from Plankton.
Alright, I get it!
Thank you for your question, Joey.